Hello friends, I am Shabir Parmar, and in this video I am trying to summarize the story of the novel A Tale of Two Cities. Friends, in the previous part of this series we have tried to understand the introductory portion of the novel A Tale of Two Cities. We tried to see the title, the background and the major characters of the novel A Tale of Two Cities. Now in this video I am trying to explain a short summary the story of the novel A Tale of Two Cities. So let's start. The first book is titled as A Recall to Life. In this first part or first book, the main important events of the novels are discussed. Friends, this first book has 6 chapters. Yes, it has 6 chapters, and chapter 1 to 4 they describe the situations in London. Yes, and in the chapter number 5 and chapter number 6 the story moves into the France. So the chapters are like chapter number 1 is titled as the period, the chapter number 2 is titled as the mail, chapter number 3 is titled as the night shadows, and chapter number 4 the preparations. So these are the 4 chapters, and this 4th chapter tells the story. Now in the beginning the novel starts in 1775. Remember friends, I told you that the novel is written in 1859, but the story, the setting of the novel is 1775, and it is the time before a few years of French Revolution. And the novel starts with a very famous sentence, and this sentence is very popular in the English literature, and it is, "It was the best of time, it was the worst of time." So from here the novel starts. In the 1775, one character, Jarvis Lorry, who is a friend of Dr. Alexander Manet and who works at a Telson company, he at the night, the description of the night and gloomy, some supernatural elements are mentioned. And from another character, Jerry Cruncher, he come to know about some secret news. And after this news, he immediately decided to go to France. Yes, he is in the England and he decides to go to the France. Now before going to the France, he meets Lucie Manet, who is a daughter of Dr. Alexander Manet. Yes, in the Royal Hotel scene, he meets Lucie Manet and informs her that her father, Dr. Alexander Manet, whom she supposed that he might have died, but Jarvis informs her that he is alive and he was in Bastille prison for 18 years. After listening this news, Lucie shocked, and she suddenly come to know about this fact, and she told Jarvis that she will also come to him and to bring back her father. So this is what in chapter number 1 to 4 this portion of the story is covered. Friends, in chapter number 5 it is the wine shop. The novel is now shifted in the France. Yes, the wine shop is owned by Defarge family, Mr. Defarge and Mrs. Defarge. And friends, Mr. Defarge was a servant of Dr. Alexander Manet. When Alexander Manet released from the imprisonment, he lives with this Defarge family, and this Defarge family is having wine shop. So Lucie and Jarvis, they reach at this wine shop, that is the house also, and in the chapter number 6 that is all titled as the Shoemaker. When Lucie and Jarvis, they see Dr. Manet. They are totally surprised because Dr. Alexander Manet, who was a very noble man, has now lost control on his mind. His mental health is not good, and he is repeatedly making shoes. Yes, he is repeatedly making shoes as he was assigned this task during the imprisonment, and he is not able to recognize any one of them. Lucie decides that she will bring back her father to England and she will treat her with love and care, and Dr. Alexander Manet will be he will recover his health. So friend, in this first book, Recall to Life, this is the first part of the story, where the story starts in 1775 and the release of Dr. Alexander Manet, Jarvis and Lucie. They reach to the Defarge family in the France. There is a wine shop, and then this book ends where Lucie and Jarvis decides to bring back Dr. Alexander at the England. Friends, the second book is titled The Golden Thread, and it has 24 chapters. This is the book which covers many important events of the story. The particular book starts with this time period, that is 1780. Yes, so after from the 1775, this particular book focuses on the time 1780s, and the book starts with the court scene. Yes, in the very important scene, the one character, that is Charles Darnay, is introduced. Yes, as I told you earlier that Charles Darnay belongs to a very rich family in the France. He hides his identity and lives in the England. The particular point about the Charles Darnay is that he is accused, and he is accused as a French spy, and the entire matter is in the court. Charles Darnay, who was not following his ideology of his family in the France, and that is why he is not living in the France, and he is shifted to the England. In the court, there are also characters like Lucie and Dr. Manet. Now Dr. Manet's health is good, and he has recovered very well. While the entire story or the matter was discussed in the court, the character of Sidney Carton is introduced. Sidney Carton, friends, is the most dynamic character. He is a lazy and alcoholic attorney. He has no interest in his life, and he thinks that his life is meaningless. Finally, Darnay succeeded to prove himself innocent, and he released from the court. After this good news, Charles Darnay and Lucie Charles Darnay started loving Lucie, and Sidney Carton. Important thing about the Sidney Carton is that his appearance, his face is quite similar to Charles Darnay. If you replace one with the other, you cannot exactly find the difference. So his face is quite similar to Charles Darnay. He also starts loving Lucie, but he is not able to tell her because he thinks that he has not done any good thing in his life. Now, quickly, let us see some of the important events in this particular book. After this scene, Lucie and Darnay started loving each other, and Darnay proposes Lucie, and Dr. Alexander Manet, he was somehow confused about the relationship between Darnay and Lucie. Ultimately, Charles Darnay, he asked Charles Darnay about his real identity, and he said that if you tell me your real identity, there is no problem with your marriage with Lucie. So Darnay told the truth about his identity. He said that he belongs to a very rich family in the France, and that the name of the family is Evermont. And this family in France is regarded as very cruel people, aristocratic people who were treating the lower class people very badly. But he did not like this kind of nature, so he left the family. After listening all these things, Dr. Manet, again shocked, and his mental health also started decreasing, because this Evermont family is the family which is responsible for his imprisonment, and Darnay belongs to that particular family. Now, at the end of this particular book, there is a marriage scene between Lucie and Charles Darnay, and at the end there is a secret letter by one person called Gabel. Now Gabel is a servant, he was a servant of Evermont family, and he writes a letter to Charles Darnay. Why he writes a letter? Because this is the time of French Revolution. Now the French Revolution has started. The revolutionaries attacked a Bastille prison, and they started capturing this aristocratic people, and they started murdering them. So this revolution took place, and Gabel was also arrested by these revolutionaries, though he has no fault, but just he was a servant to them. After this letter, Darnay decided to go to the France and help his servant, that is Gabel. So this particular book ends here, where Darnay decides to go to the France, and the time is mentioned is the French Revolution, which is already